What I wanted to talk today about was big data, big opportunities. And I think over the years, there's been a lot of talk about big data and big opportunities. And what I want to talk about is where are we going? What are we doing from a data perspective? How are we generating? What do we expect to see in the future? But more importantly, what are we using that data in action today? And then what is the real immediate opportunity in the short term that we can leverage for Australian agriculture going forward? So we build a lot of data generators, and over the years our technology that we've embedded in our product has really started to generate an awful amount of data, as a lot of growers will attest to. But our belief in the future of agriculture is that it be shaped by four things, and I think that's been referenced through this conference: sensors, data, artificial intelligence, and robotics. This is the journey that we are on. So advances in these technologies are happening at a very fast pace, right across multiple different industries, and we're trying to leverage what we can from each other industry and actually bring it to our product and make it available for our customers. The exciting thing is that we can utilise these technologies, but as we start to develop in these areas and we start developing and be able to measure, control and manage more with each application that we apply. And with each application we actually generate more and more data, both from a machine perspective but also from the environment and the operational environment that it works in. So as we sense more, there's a more natural progression to get faster data collection, more analysis required, propelling farming into this AI and machine learning and robotic space. Also with this advancement of bringing these sensors and technologies along is that we get much more resolution of data and data sets that we're generating. And so what that resolution means is that we can start to manage more than just from a field perspective or a farm perspective, but you can get down now to areas within a field. And if you think as this data gets much more higher resolution, that can actually get tighter and tighter and tighter in the areas that you want to manage, depending on the constraints and control measures that you want to do. However, this isn't the only data that gets generated in a farming decision. There's so much data being generated that it's in support of these decisions that a grower's trying to make. So it's not just about the field or the machine. There's areas such as running the business, financial, the weather, all the other parameters, the markets that actually start, that require a decision to be made so that we can actually produce more and grow more. In the process of making each of those decisions though, it's pretty key that the grower will actually generate more data, more information, more understanding about historically where we've been and hopefully predictive about where we're going. So the global drivers that our growers are faced with in terms of increasing production, which we've heard about this morning, trying to managing weather volatility, which we've heard the last couple of days and so increasingly in front of our faces every day, ethical food production, traceability, labour shortages, they're all things that are going to be decisions that are made on a day-to-day basis from our growers. So each one of these decisions will have a trail of data. We're building historical data sets that hopefully we can use both understanding where we are today, but leverage for predictive and future decisions to make better decisions in the future. So what we start to look at and go with every pass in the field with our equipment, we want to generate and collect information or data analysis so that we can actually make use of it. And so we look at this and say, look, data is the fuel, it's not the exhaust. And put that simply is, if you talk to a lot of growers, we've been generating, for example, yield maps for many, many years. And it's a case of, it's a product of when we harvest. And we come back and people are beginning to make use of that, but it's like, well, what does it mean? How do I use it? What decisions can I make? And there's usually other data sets that we need to make that help us with that decision. But what we're going to look at is with every pass, if we have this historical data that we're generating and we start to generate insights, that as we pass through the field, if we're sensing, if we're working out what the conditions are, then we can actually make changes on the go that actually impact the production. And sometimes those decisions today are made very much from the operator in the seat, thinking about what are the conditions, what have I got to change? And so when you think about how, if you look at this process, we want to learn in every single pass so we can make better decisions. And the road here is about making insights to intelligence. But then that leads then to how can we actually manage this at any time, anywhere, so that we can actually go from automation to autonomy. And so if you think about all those decision points that we start to make every day in the production of food and fibre, how do we actually get this all to work? So that's a huge opportunity, and I think no doubt that everyone is sort of aware of that. So what's happening today? What are we doing in a product space that actually making an impact? Right today, with our latest S7 series combines, we leverage a product with active cameras or active vision cameras that actually sample the grain on an image basis continually. So typically a grower would actually say, I'll have a look at the sample, it needs to be changed, I change the settings, it changes through the day, I have another look at the sample, I continue to try and change and chase the optimum performance of this machine. With the active vision cameras, we're actually using a user interface or defined criteria about the what quality or what sample quality is required, and the machine will now make automated adjustments to try and maintain that sample quality the whole day through. And this is happening so many more times than a grower can actually stop and take a physical sample and have a look. We're also offering what we call expert alerts. And for years, and everyone with a car today will see when the engine light comes on or something goes wrong, you get an alert, there's something to go fix. What we're trying to do with expert alerts, and what we are doing, is actually being predictive. So using machine learning, monitoring the machines, we actually predict what parameters and groups of parameters are starting to indicate there could be a potential issue or challenge coming up with that product. And what we do, we actually preemptive send an alert that actually alerts the supporting dealer to support the customer to say, hey, we need to come and have a look at your machine because you have a potential issue arising before it arises. So what we're trying to do is make sure the machine's in the field longer and any of those issues that arise we're aware of. The third area, as an example, is with our acquisition of the Blue River Technologies, where it's talking about the See and Spray product, looking at weeds, making adjustments, spraying and trying to remove those combatant pests in the field. And that vision-based and machine learning that goes with that, be able to pick up weeds of various sizes, various types, and actually remove that in the field. So it's one thing to generate all this data, but we've got to make use of it. And this is an opportunity, I guess, that we need to look at from an Australian agricultural point of view. John Deere offers a platform. Well, if I just step back a bit, we have a lot of machine data and this agronomic data that we try and monitor our machines and make improvements of for future product. The agronomic data that a customer generates, we want to be able to share, or actually be able to make it shareable with other collaborators, so that the insights around that data can actually be understood. We add other external data sets so that actually can make better decisions. So what we do is we offer a repository we call it the Operations Centre, which actually enables a grower to capture data, machine information. It has online tools that enable access to farm information. It talks about analysing, editing and making collaborative decisions. There's being able to optimise logistics, plans and direct people actually in the field. So what we're trying to do is have this platform that shares not just the agronomic information, but how do we manage the operation so that we can actually improve that. So we want to be able to see, we want to share the data, share the information, collaborate both externally and internally. And what I mean by that is that We enable a grower to manage the work or workers and what they can see and how they can see it, what they're allowed to change on the machine and what they can't. And that's where it comes back to this direction about having jobs that actually come to an operator to say, you need to go to this field next, you need to actually go spray this product, or you need to go plant this seed. So we also combine this with a complementary suite of mobile apps, which enables all that information and accessibility to be mobile. So just for an example, and this is what we want to sets up talking about the opportunity, because it's about the opportunity today that's going to make a difference for agriculture next year or in the year after. So I've just taken a map here of a spraying application. On the left-hand side, you can see the application rate of this sprayer. Thankfully, it's fairly uniform. Actually, the sprayer was over this, I think it was 400 hectares, I think its target rate was 60 litres, and it put out 59.99 litres a hectare. So the accuracy with the speed variations that you can see in there, starting and stopping, has actually worked extremely well. However, we don't know whether that has actually done its job, what's the efficacy rate, how's it actually worked. And so I've just thrown up here on the right side elevation data. Now these are just two data layers from a single pass with one sprayer. What else can we leverage in this space to actually enable a grower to make a much informed, better decision about managing that field, managing what goes into it, the legacy and residuals that have been displayed, how do I manage the actual nutrient application? What about weather information? What about the Landsat, NDDI? How do we actually take all these data layers and actually get a much better collaboration and visual decision tool for our growers? Well, what we do is we open up the platform in the operations centre so a grower can actually share their information with third-party and external party providers. And this is just a list, it's not the comprehensive list, of collaborators that are actually approved by John Deere with the API to work with the operations centre to leverage the data that growers actually generate. One really, really important note I want to make is that it is the grower's decision on where and when they want to share that information and who with. So creating the value is really in the hands of a grower to actually work out, who do I need to work with? Are they providing the value? Okay, I'll share my information, make sure I get some value out of this to make a much better decision in the future or today. So you can see on that list there's a fair few different providers. We've got local Australian providers that have actually got the API and working with that. We've actually, if you take note, some would consider that we've got some of our competitors who are approved here. And this is because from our point of view, having an open platform for growers to share their information enables a much better agricultural output, a much better agricultural decision if they've got expertise and want to share and our growers want to use it and they comply to our API requirements. We're very open to share and make sure that that's accessible and the throughput works. Not only does it go one way, it goes both ways. So we've got some of these companies providing prescription maps, decision points, other information that actually helps growers make decisions on the run. So what is the opportunity going forward? So if I have a look, I'm going to start from the bottom and work up. Our responsibility here in this space is that we want to provide the equipment, technology and connections, the data platform to be able to share product or share the product application, share multiple operations, share some of the machine information and create that and make that accessible. Our domain really is about making sure that that product is supported and serviced and make sure that our growers and customers are well equipped and supported. The opportunities are in the data engineering, software development, in the retail services, whatever else we can actually add into this to create the actual extra value. So putting in extra data, external data, having the algorithms that look at multiple layers and extract those long-term trends, short-term trends, predictive trends, the data science and integration that goes with that, that is a big space and opportunity for a lot of different areas of, I guess, people either associated with the industry or not associated with the agricultural industry to actually leverage. Now, once we get this all together, we do need, as been previously highlighted, those services and community services to be able to enable those decisions and enact on them. So that next level around the retail services, the agronomist, the economist, the futures, marketers, information services, whatever else needs to be actually make growers' opportunity and value defined even better, that's where the retail opportunity relies. And we see that these three areas, and probably more, it's when we combine them together and make this collaboration space open that we should be able to derive a much more combined grower value. And so I've just got the website down the bottom there. For anybody who's looking to link into any of this information that gets generated by growers and they want to share, there's a developer.deere.com that talks about the API, how to become a licensed API provider, what you need to do, what data sets, what's there to actually leverage and work. And if you see where we are today and what we're sharing, and you understand what I talked about earlier in the presentation about what we're doing with our equipment, the sensors, the data, the information that we're going to generate, then the opportunity in the future is actually very, very great. And I've just made some real rough numbers. You've got the 16, 17 ABARES numbers there, which was talking about $62 billion worth of value in the agricultural sector. If you looked at the current value today, we're looking at $58 billion, where $29 billion of that is in crop production. At 1%, if we can get 1% by collaborating, sharing, making decision-making real and informative for growers, then it translates to significant value that can be recognised in the industry. So that concludes my presentation, and I think you can see where we're trying to sit and collaborate, provide products and services to enable agriculture going forward and getting towards, I guess, those growth targets that have been mentioned here today. Thank you.